Really hasn't been that long, but it seems like decades for Texas fans since they had a capable quarterback, the likes of Colt McCoy or Vince Young. Looking at the Texas quarterback situation with Josh Parcell of ESPNU, it's not a pretty one, but it could be an intriguing one, more so than what we thought at the end of the regular season last year. Josh, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk about Arkansas dominating that game on defense. The saw dominating that game on TD's 11 picks, but if you go game by game, he really struggled against the better defenses. A lot of 13 for 25s out there against defenses.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Swoopes was really their best option last year after David Ash had to retire after the first game of the year. So he really got last year after David Ash had to retire after the first game of the year. Since ultimately finished 6-6 to end the year, and obviously the bowl game was a disaster. So that's why they've opened it up a little bit this spring, and Charlie Strong made no mistake about it that they were willing to give Jerrod Heard, the redshirt freshman, a chance to battle for that. That's all they're really asking for right now.
So basically what we saw at the Swoopes last year was a kid who made the best out of a difficult situation. He's got the frame, he's got the size, prototypical there. He's very mobile. He's not difficult situation. He's got the frame, he's got the size, prototypical there. He's very mobile. He's not dynamic to the extent that he's going to wow you completely, but he's very mobile. The arm's strong enough, but it's scattershot. And so we know what we've got for the most part. We don't developed in the spring necessarily. You mentioned Heard. What have you heard about, pardon the pun, what have you heard about Jerrod?
Some fans are even clamoring for him at some points during the year. Freshman, they ended up redshirting him all of last year. Some fans are even clamoring for him at some points during the year. He's just a phenomenal athlete. Very fast runner, great legs, good scrambler. He showed in the spring what he still has a long way to go throwing the ball, and as does Swoopes, but Heard just seems a little bit more of a threat to run the ball than Swoopes is at this point. Not to say that Swoopes isn't a capable runner, but Heard can make the plays, and if you're Texas, maybe you build a package around Heard, trying to go with a more up-tempo pace this year, as are a lot of teams, especially in the Big 12. He seems to fit that mold. You know, the read option game that we saw a lot in the spring out of Texas seems to fit Heard's style really well. Like I said, seems to fit Heard's style really well, like I said, in specialty packages. So I don't know that he's going to necessarily beat Swoopes out for the job, but he definitely offers a skill set that I think could be of use to Texas.
Texas is barely, since Colt McCoy left the field, Texas is barely 500 football program, and we're going on 5 to 6 footballs. Look to be much better in a very top-heavy Big 12, but the rest is fairly marginal looking at the Big 12, but I don't know. Very top-heavy Big 12, but the rest is fairly marginal looking at the Big 12, but I don't know if Texas has the team in place to win 8, 9, 10 football games.
Yeah. You've got to have a quarterback if you want to win in Texas. If you want to win in the Big 12, I mean, look at the Big 12. It's a quarterback league. Every school, I mean, TCU is a good example of a team that joined the conference a few years ago, didn't have a great quarterback. They didn't really open up their system at all. They kind of were stuck in their ways from how they were in the Mountain West. Last season, Gary Patterson says, you know what, scratch that. I'm going to open it up. He brings in a couple guys who are Doug Meacham and Sonny Cumbie, guys who are just open-minded. Now is kind of hemming and hawing, and like I said earlier, they're starting to open it up a little bit, but they just really need to find a quarterback that can operate that system. And I don't know if Swoopes is the guy. Like I said, Heard is a talented guy, but again, guy's got a cannon of an arm, but he doesn't really have the accuracy or the touch or the decision making right now. That I think is like you said, is going to really give Texas a chance to win 9, 10 games or compete in a very top-heavy conference.
TCU, where Gary Patterson, yes, very much a defensive-minded, run-the-football kind of coach, but had the smarts to know this is what we need to do to break through and become the kind of program that we want to be. Texas Tech has 2 very capable quarterbacks. Baylor has been recruiting quarterbacks, obviously, Bryce Petty being the most recent example, and RG3 before that. It's amazing that we're going back 6, 7, 8, 9 recruiting classes since Texas has been able to bring in the difference.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel wanted to come to Texas. RG3 was never recruited as a quarterback there. They just whiffed in recruiting, and that was part of what out the door. Charlie Strong's come in, and he went for the big guy. He went for Kyler Murray, the #1 quarterback coming in this year, who ended up going to Texas A&M. There were strong family ties at A&M that made it coming in this year, who ended up going. There were strong family ties. Really hard for him to switch, but they up until the last minute, they thought that Murray might end up flipping and coming to. This doesn't really fall on Charlie Strong, but he doesn't have a very long leash before he's got to find a guy who's going to be that one who takes Texas back to the elite level of a top 5, top 10 program. They've got to have somebody. The elite level of a top 5, top 10 program. They've got to have somebody.
Throw open the map and I say, so I just throw open the map and I say,